Hello, welcome to Hell. This is White Devil and I run the show. This is my fifth video and I want to continue to refer people back to my first video for the full story and explanation of why I named this channel White Devil. So, what have we learned over the last few videos? Well, we've learned that unfortunately there is a segment of the US population that sees the country itself as illegitimate because of its role in the institution of slavery when it first began. We learned that from that article that I analyzed, and of course we can also see it in various other forms of discourse, social media, etc., etc. Again, it's less an argument and more an assertion of a moral framework. And that framework basically indicates that in the presence of slavery, in the presence of racism or racial oppression, what we have is the disqualification of claims to sovereignty or governmental legitimacy, etc., etc. That's the overall framework, right? If there is X, if there is Y, what we have is Z. We had slavery in the United States of America. We had racism. As a result, now what we have is an illegitimate state. What's the alternative to this? If there's some other possibility, what is it? And what I suggest is it's actually fairly obvious if you think about it. The alternative is to state that rather than disqualifying our legitimacy or sovereignty or integrity, whatever it might be, rather than disqualifying it, the presence of slavery, the presence of racism, represented a test and qualify us for our future successes. In other words, the presence of those evils were inherently a test. And in the coming years and generations, I believe that we actually passed those tests. In that way, we were qualified for our present legitimacy over hundreds of millions of free individuals. We fought our bloodiest war to end the institution of slavery. That ushered in a new era of racial oppression, which was also defeated later on with the civil rights movement. So every time an ideological framework is used to diminish the freedom or the moral or legal standing of a particular set of individuals, every time that happens, something else comes along to defeat that and achieve equality in whatever way was required, right? And so again, in this way, the presence of racism, the presence of slavery, rather than disqualifying the legitimacy of the United States of America, they qualify it. They establish the preconditions through which greater and greater successes in the area of human freedom have already been achieved. And we stand now truly on the edge of being a free society, 100%. There's a lot of work to do, especially in the area of human trafficking, present-day slavery, of which there does exist some in the U.S. and in other parts of the world. I certainly see no reason to think that we will not take the lead on dismantling some of those institutions. But as it stands now, just that original claim that the presence of slavery disqualifies us, I think that we can start to see through that. We can really start to identify how that's an erroneous framework to perceive a nation that has been populated by hundreds of millions of people over the course of its history, and in fact now has existed for almost twice as long as a free society than it did as a slave society. I think that's really critical. It's not just a numbers game, of course. We're talking about moral questions, but we do know that in terms of pure duration, the slave keeping element is actually much smaller at this point than everything that came after it. So this claim that racism and slavery disqualifies the United States as a legitimate government, it's really exactly the opposite. This is a further qualification of the work that has been done here in the name of human freedom. So those are my thoughts on that. Click the subscribe button down below. Leave a comment. I'd love to hear what you guys think. I hope you're enjoying my channel. Again, this is White Devil signing off. I'll see you guys next time.